So we just had this team meeting and we were talking about the podcast episodes we're going to tape this week. And one of the topics was the subject of how to not give a shit, like the art of not giving a shit about things that don't matter. And somebody chimed in our team meeting, well, Mel, you don't give a shit about a lot of things. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. Like last week in LA, oh my God, you were out of control. I'm like, what? What do you mean? What did I do? And so welcome to an impromptu episode. I have dragged Christine, our COO and CFO, here. I've got Jesse, who runs video and video production. I've got Amy, who is one of our senior members of the team and a senior producer. We have Cameron, who is also a producer on our team. And by the way, we've got a bazillion other people that we would have dragged here, but we got a lot of other stuff we need to do for you. And these guys really had a lot of examples about how yours truly was acting out of control last week, like literally give zero shits. And I don't know what the examples are. So I said, guys, let's just jump on Zoom and let's just lay it on me. And then once I respond to their evidence proving to you that I give no shits, I'm going to give you my 4 rules. The 4 rules for how you too can learn how to not give a shit. And we're going to give you 2 simple things you can start doing at the end of the episode so that you can practice this. All right. Who wants to go first? What did I do last week, you guys? I'm sitting here going, what the hell did I do? I thought it was a great trip. I mean, is not giving a shit really a bad thing? I personally think it's the secret to life.
It's a great thing, but it's shocking when you do it, I think.
Really?
Especially the way you do it sometimes, Mel.
Okay. This is Amy, one of our senior producers on the show.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Lay it on me. What did I do last week in Los Angeles that was shocking?
Well, first thing is we were having a team meeting outside. We needed to get a little sun, and you needed to get maybe a little more sun than everybody else desired to get. Do you want to take it from here, Christine, to talk about the outfit and the attitude?
Set the table. Where were we, and what do you mean? We needed more sun.
We were outside and Mel and I are from Vermont, and Christine's from Chicago, so, we're all a little pasty and somewhat translucent, as you say, Mel. At this point, it's early spring, and we haven't seen the sun in a long time. So we were in LA, outside at the cafe in the hotel that we were staying at, and there was a lot of sunshine, and we were all soaking it up and loving it. And you were too, right, Mel?
Yes.
You were loving that.
Yes.
And then it got a little hot, and everybody else thought, like, let's get out of the sun. And Mel thought, let's just take our shirts off. That makes it sound worse than it was. But that is, I think, maybe one of the things that you said. I'm just going to take my shirt off. Now, you had a shirt on underneath.
Yes.
Thank God.
No, I had Skims. Brand new. This is not an ad, but I did buy Skims for the first time. I bought a bodysuit. And I do have to give Skims a thumbs up. It was a tank top bodysuit that, had a thong back, but the thong was quite wide. So it did not operate like dental floss up my rear end, which I also think I explained to all of you as I pulled my t-shirt off and revealed the fact that I was wearing a medium compression tank top thong bodysuit with my jeans. That basically looks like a bathing suit.
Yeah, no, it looked like a
see-through bathing suit.
See-through.
But I think it didn't stop there, right, Christine? It was like, okay, so she had the top on, and then
she had the top on, but I could see her nipples. So I'm like, that felt like an HR violation to have the team there, and you were totally down with it. But I'm like, okay, can we? You're like, oh, I'll put my t-shirt over, and so you tucked the t-shirt you were wearing into the top of the bodysuit so that it was just like kind of across your chest.
It was like a chest apron is what it was. I was covering the top, so it was like a drapery across. I was using an opaque chocolate brown Skims t-shirt, and I took that off, and I was wearing a nude bodysuit, so it didn't exactly look like a bathing suit. It looked like a nude bodysuit, meaning nude color, not nude. And then I put the t-shirt, it was not long sleeve, otherwise I would have tied it around my boobs, and instead I just tucked it into the front like a bib. And I covered my nipples so that I could get some sun, and it was not an HR violation in front of the 4 women that were sitting at the table.
Right. And I think
Now, what was so shocking about that? Because I have to say, there was a pool that was approximately 40 yards from us. We were on the same, we were technically on like a pool deck in the restaurant area. And, you know, and then Christine, for those of you that are listening to this, I want to tell you, this may be one of those episodes that you do, after you're done listening, want to check out on YouTube. Because we do film all our episodes and we will be putting up photos. Because Christine did take a photo of me. And can I see it? I haven't seen it. Can I see it? Is it really bad?
I mean, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. It's not flattering.
Pat, will you pass me my phone? Okay, this is ugly, but mainly because I have a really bad farmer's tan and I'm starting to get sunburnt on my arms and the undercarriage of my arms. You know, those, what are those muscles that we do this with?
Triceps.
The triceps are really flabby and white. So the tan is not uniform. In fact, it's not even coming in yet, but it's appropriate. I mean, it looks like a shirt tucked into a bra is what it looks like. Okay. So that's number one. And you're right. I didn't give a shit. I sat there, I got my sun. And then when we moved back into the shade, I put my shirt on. Okay. Was that the shocking example?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty shocking. I think it's pretty shocking to not just stop at the fact that you're not wearing a bathing suit or stop at the fact that your nipples are showing or stop at the fact that you're tucking a shirt into your camisole. What even is that? Or, you know, stop at the fact that you don't have sunscreen on. Like, there were a lot of moments I think many people would have heeded the stop sign or at least yield a little bit. But you floored it to the sun. And like, you got what you wanted and you didn't give a shit.
I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit. I'm sitting with four ladies. Yeah. You know, we're all from the Northeast. I am so pale, I'm translucent, and I needed a little vitamin B. Okay. Right. I think I can roll with that one. What's the next example? And by the way, that was Christine, who is our chief operating officer. Was that an HR violation?
I'm pretty sure that in most cultures that would be unacceptable.
Well, okay. And instead, at 143 Studios, we make a podcast episode. Okay. Okay. So what else did I do?
Okay. Who has the next one?
Well, then later that day, we had a meeting scheduled with an important meeting with somebody we've never met before with Audible. And I took note of the fact they were wearing open-toe shoes, which in my previous corporate experience would not be the way you would show up for a first-time meeting. But
wait, what? It was open-toe? What are you talking about? First of all, who made up a rule that you can't wear open-toed shoes?
I think in general, toes are kind of a touchy subject. Not everybody wants to see people's feet, especially in a professional environment. Even though it was casual, we were meeting out for after work kind of drink situation, but still that, you know, I intentionally packed closed toe shoes just for that meeting.
You did?
I did.
So can you walk me through the thinking that goes into giving a shit about closed-toed, I can't even say it. Closed-toe shoes?
Covered-toed. Yeah.
Covered-toed shoes?
Toes.
Ballerina slippers.
Again, yeah. I wore like ballet flats because I didn't want to have show up for a meeting with my toes exposed. So I left my sandals at home so that I would have appropriate footwear for a first meeting. Okay. Which never crossed your mind. And I noticed your toes right away, but then I didn't say anything because obviously you're the boss. You can show up however you want for those meetings.
Well, you're kind of the boss. You run the place. I just break the rules, apparently. So never in a million years did it even cross my mind that open-toed shoes are a problem for any kind of meeting, first of all.
I think open-toe shoes are like the neck hair of the past. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to see neck hair. You know, like, button that top button. Get your toes covered up. Like,
really?
Come on now.
I've got my Birkenstocks on right now.
And open-toed shoes right now.
And so to make it even worse, my Christine has like immaculate toes. You always have a gorgeous, high gloss, bright red, polished situation going down. I not only had open toes, everybody, but I happened to have gangly kind of situation with the pedicure, not getting them that often now in Vermont, did not have on polish, might have been chipped. But, here was my thinking. I'm thinking, those weren't just open-toed shoes. Bitch, those were Valentino wedge espadrilles that I had bought to wear to graduation. And so I put those puppies on like a frickin' Ferrari on my feet. I strutted into Soho House, LA, like the baller I am. And you were right behind me strutting in your Chanel ballet flats because Christine, don't you mistake that voice, everybody. I always say yes. Christine's the badass business bitch that says no. And so she was walking in those ballet shoes like a dumpster truck, ready to do some business. And so I go striding in there. I had no idea that you glanced at my toes and you judged me.
I did judge you. I didn't have any idea that they were fancy shoes. All I saw was your toes. So I'm like, whatever.
Well, would it have mattered if they had been fancy, or would you have just rolled your eyes and been like, she's just making a mistake with a couple $100 instead of making it with flip-flops, but she's making a mistake?
Yeah. Well, I like, you are you 100% all the time. So like, again, I wasn't going to say anything because we were walking out the door because of course we were late. And so it wasn't, I was judging a little. But again, it's your meeting, your call.
Possibly with good reason, the judging.
I don't think so. See, I don't think anybody notices your feet.
We
and
know.
I don't think anybody's
you.
not going to do business with you because you have espadrilles on.
I'm gonna call in some backup here. Cameron, you worked at a law firm. Am I alone in thinking that this is a kind of corporate no-go in some environments?
It's definitely a no-go, and also if you have unpainted toes, I think it's a little worse.
Mel, were your toes painted?
No.
Yeah.
No, they were not. They might have even had dirt on them for all I know, because I wasn't looking down there, because I had on also the very in-fashion bell-bottom jeans. And just to make a point, this is one of the top deal makers at Audible, a person that says yes or no, somebody we have never met, and a really important meeting. And so here I am thinking, ooh, yeah, I got an important meeting. I'm going to pull on my high-waisted bell-bottom jeans because I'm in L.A., and that is what the badass bitch women boss situation. And then I'm going to pull on my expensive Valentino wedge things with the studs because, man, it shows I don't give a shit. I make money. I don't need you to say yes or no. And I'm going to breeze in there with my COO, who is always the deal maker. And we are going to wow the shit out of this thing. I didn't for a second think about my toes because I gave a shit about other things, which is killing the meeting, which I do believe I did.
You did an amazing job.
Thank you. And did I do anything else wrong in the meeting? I think so. I think I did. I think I actually know what happened. I think I know what happened. See, I went into that meeting going, I'm not going to drink tonight because we got a big celebratory weekend and I don't, want to say anything stupid at a business meeting with somebody I've never met. And so we meet the guy. I immediately love him. Just a great guy. He's like an entrepreneur inside big organizations. He's the guy. And I can tell he is a deal maker. I can tell he just loves to be innovative. And that's exactly how we roll. And it's why we have this incredible, unprecedented relationship doing all these original projects with Audible. So he goes, are you guys going to have something to drink? And I said, yeah, well, I think I'm just going to have a seltzer with some bitters on ice in a wine glass with a twist, doing like the non-alcoholic thing. And he's like, oh, I thought you liked gin. And I'm like, I love gin. Let's get gin. And so now I'm in and I go all in. And that was probably another Mel doesn't give a shit, but this is a no-no. Would you say that, Christine?
Yeah, it definitely took the meeting in probably a different direction than if we would have stuck with the seltzer and the bitters. But I think it was a very enjoyable meeting. I think for sure we got to be fast friends, probably quicker than otherwise.
That's true. The gin always lubricates me a little bit. I started dropping the F-bombs, which always is what happens when I drink. And it leads to a very productive business meeting. And I don't give a shit, I guess. Right? I don't give a shit. Christine's smile is so tight. I wish you guys could see that. That's the smile that she gives me in meetings where she's like, you can shut up now. Let the adults take it from here. Was there anything else I did? Okay, we've taken the shirt off and tucked it into the front of my bodysuit. I've worn open-toed shoes to a massively important business meeting. I have had two, maybe 3 gin and tonics with the person at Audible, and we had an amazing time, so much so that he then texted our literary agent to say that he was both afraid and extraordinarily excited and impressed by what just happened. He did not, I would like to point out, mention that it was a problem, though, that Mel was wearing open-toed shoes. Just want to point that out, everybody.
Yeah, not a problem.
Anything else? That's all you got, you guys? That's it?
Well, that was Monday.
What did I do next?
I feel like
yeah. So then Tuesday we went to a hot yoga class, which we usually do while we're in LA. And it was a super sweaty, hot class. And, but obviously I've been to a lot of these, but I'm always amazed that no matter how terrible the look or the situation, that you're generally recording a selfie on the way out about, like how amazing you feel coming out, which is true. It's not always easy to get there, but coming out, you always feel like, hey, I'm so glad we did that. You're recording, you're going live. And this day, you was really run over. Like you were so hot and sweaty and your sinuses were bothering you. And, without fail, you're recording your selfie. And I just am always impressed. And I think it really connects with people when we're out and we're talking to people about how real you are, of how you show up at really what is, truly one of your like worst looking moments of being out of this class because you're hot, you're sweaty, you're like just a mess. And you just are ready to go live and share that. And I think because you do that, I know other women that we run into are always feeling like, I was, Mel makes a huge difference because, I'm like, if Mel Robbins can do this with all the people that she is connecting with, then what am I worried about? And I think there's something very freeing in that. And so
That's
I'm always,
a compliment.
I think it's a huge compliment.
Well,
no,
thank you.
It is a huge compliment, but then I think it also is freeing for you too, because I think because you do that at those worst moments, then you never really, are concerned about what those other moments are where maybe other people would feel self-conscious because you've already shared what, at those moments.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I looked like absolute shit is what
you did look like
saying.
absolute shit. And we'll pull up the post for folks so they can see exactly what we're talking about for anybody who's watching on YouTube.
Just to give you a visual, everybody. Tomatoes in high summer, August at a farmer's market, bright, deep, opaque, shiny red. That was basically the color of my face. My hair is starting to grow out, so the roots are coming in nice and gray. And I put on my glasses and they fogged up. For all I know, I had a camel toe. And I was walking down the sidewalk in LA outside of the yoga studio, headed to my favorite coffee shop to basically get a cup of liquid caffeinated sugar. And I pulled out that phone because I thought, you know what? I did not want to go this morning. My sinuses are bothering me. I know you can relate to that. And so I just start filming. And I agree, I looked like absolute shit. But here's what I think. I walk around looking like that. So why would I be worried about putting it online? Like if you walk into the grocery store wearing a pair of yoga tights and your bra is showing through your t-shirt and you're sweaty and your hair's a mess, why do you feel bad putting a photo of yourself looking like that online? Like you got to stop and consider that you're okay going out in public or being around friends looking like crap, because that's how we all look in real life. But somehow that's not acceptable on social media. And so it's been very liberating for me to just go, fuck it. I don't care what I look like because I walk into a grocery store looking like this. I know I look like shit. Who cares? But the public and what I look like in public is exactly what I'm willing and I think you should put on social media. Because if you don't, you're subconsciously giving a shit about your appearance. And I think that's really, as you guys keep like teeing up these examples of where I'm either completely violating social norms like the no toes policy, which I was unaware of, or I am being really offensive by taking my shirt off and doing what I thought was a very polite, discreet move of covering my nipples with my t-shirt so I could get some sun because I feel depressed and translucent like a gray dolphin living here in southern Vermont. But I think the real liberating thing about learning how to give a shit is that you put your energy toward giving a shit towards things that matter. And you spend less time draining your energy on the shit that really doesn't matter. And one of the things that I gave up a long time ago, Christine, is worrying about what I looked like. And maybe it was because of the experience of being a commentator on CNN. Because when I was on CNN, as you know, Christine, as an on-air commentator, a paid legal commentator. There were only 5 of us in the entire world that were on that team. And it was a really cool job analyzing some of the biggest cases of our time. I noticed something, that whenever I would be on TV and I would have an opinion about particularly a case that people were really hot about, like Trayvon Martin's murder or what happened in Ferguson or Freddie Gray or Tamir Rice, and I'm a criminal defense attorney. And so I am adding in commentary as a defense attorney. I noticed that when people criticized me, they never criticized what I said. People on Twitter or on social media, here I am on television talking about a very serious topic. I take the job very seriously. They're like, you old fucking bag, have you seen your neck? So who did it? Like just dragging down my jowls that look like saddlebags or my saggy ass turkey gizzard neck, or just constantly trashing me, that I just learned how to tune it out. And I started to not care. And there's something very liberating about leaving an exercise class and your mascara from last night is running down your face like Dracula and going and getting your coffee anyway. You know why? Because you don't give a shit what the other people who are standing in line around you think about the fact that your fucking mascara is running. And half of them you're probably never going to see again anyway. So who gives a fuck? But I spent way too much time caring way too much about what other people might think, and it chokes you. So, yeah, I did look like shit that day. I did. We'll post that video soon. Okay, what's next? What else did I do?
Well, I mean, I think then Wednesday we had our first live event for our course offering for Launch with Mel Robbins. And as a surprise, our team had pre-ordered some props for the event to make it a celebration. And the course is called, Launch with Mel Robbins. So they had purchased a spacesuit with a helmet and a pop-up tent shaped like, a rocket ship.
Yeah. And let me just say here, Christine, just before you go on, everything Christine is describing is child size. So like 10-year-old not
child.
Like a normal fitting spacesuit or like a big helmet that you had to put on or a tent that like an adult should even be in. These were all things that needed a squeeze to get into. So I just want to let the audience get that visual.
Let me also add that these were purchased in hopes of just having them on, the desk that you were perched upon.
Oh.
They weren't actually in hopes of you putting anything on. We just wanted to get you energized by looking at it, having it in the background. And so when we brought them out and you were so ecstatic and you were like, I'm putting this on, it was definitely a little more of a, is that actually going to fit on her? Like, I thought it was just sitting on the desk.
Right. Like, is that a spacesuit or a skin suit?
Yes.
Mel?
It
Like,
was sort of a
that
skin tight astronaut suit. Yeah, Yeah, I somehow I missed in the setup because I was so surprised. And, to paint the picture, we're doing this 6-month-long coaching program. We have 5,000 people waiting from around the world to log on to our first live training. I'm in the Sirius studios, and they pull out all these props. I'm like, awesome. And I start pulling it on with minutes to go before we're supposed to be live. And I kind of pull it up, and it did fit like Skims. I had to suck way in and do that. Like when you try to pull your jeans on and you've had pizza or bread and you've got, your bread basket, and you got to kind of do the butt tuck to get the zipper to kind of go in. It's like the human equivalent of sitting on your suitcase to compress it. Well, anyway, that's what I do. I either jump from my bed to the floor to get it up, or, well, anyway, I had to do that with the entire thing. And then the helmet was so tight, you guys, I had to take my glasses off and my ponytail out to squeeze the child-size helmet onto my head. And then I climbed into what was probably a 3-foot-tall spaceship playpen that you might put up at the beach so that a baby could take a nap in it. And so I'm sitting in there squashed like a ball with this helmet grinding into my shoulders. Why? Because I don't give a shit. You know what I give a shit about? I give a shit about the enthusiasm and the surprise and delight that it's going to create, that I would be willing to do something so ridiculous in order to surprise my students that are in launch. That's why I did it. Now, there was a downside to this because we're learning about Mel Robbins, my enthusiasm and my badassery that leads me to not give a shit about certain things like open-toed shoes or the fact that I'm wearing Spanx in public next to a pool. Well, kind of next to a pool. I'm technically leaning on that a little bit too much. There was an actual fence between the restaurant and the pool. I don't think through things very often. And so what I didn't think through is that I'd be in a tiny little, basically, uterus with no circulation in a suit that is cutting off any possibility of airflow and a helmet that is slowly constricting my breathing. So now my body temperature is up to about 120. And I come climbing out of this thing. I can barely get the helmet up over my ears, so I have to flip the thing open and talk through it. I get the helmet off, and then I have another problem. The suit is not only so tight that I have to do a strip tease in front of 5,000 people to get the thing off, but it's got elastic things around the ankles, and I can't get over my shoes. So I begin our first live training on the ground, trying to pull this fucking thing off of my shoes in front of 5,000 people watching. I think it was a pretty big hit.
It was a huge hit.
Huge.
It was a huge hit. And it was a good reminder to me, because when I saw these props and we were putting them together in the green room, I had some concerns because people were watching the tent and people were guessing in the comments of I think Mel's in there. I think Mel's in there. And I didn't know. I didn't even know that you were in there because I didn't think you could fit. I thought it was just this is too small. So I just thought, and I thought you were going to pop out from the side. So when you came out of that tent and I wasn't in the room, I was watching on the app, I was like, no fucking way. And you popped out and everyone went bananas on all of the chat and comments. It was a huge hit. And again,
I'm just
reminder.
sad. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just a reminder to me of things aren't that serious and to have more fun, because I think
next time I'll wear my open-toed shoes, Kristen. Oh my God. So we just had this team meeting and we were talking about the podcast episodes we're going to tape this week. And one of the topics was the subject of how to not give a shit. And somebody chimed in, well, Mel, you don't give a shit about a lot of things. I'm like, really? What do you mean? What did I do? And then once I respond to their evidence proving to you that I give no shit, I'm going to give you my 4 rules. The 4 rules for how you too can learn how to not give a shit. All right, who wants to go first? What did I do last week, you guys? I'm sitting here going, what the hell did I do? I thought it was a great trip.